everyone, and welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Okay, guys, now we are getting down to the home stretch of campaign season, and our candidates, they have a lot of places to be, and they got to kind of be there early. So tonight, instead of me doing my rant first, we're going to talk to the candidates because they got to get out into the people, into the public. So I want to make sure that you guys get to hear from them so they can go ahead and make their physical donations. Locations. See, donate. Click on her link anyway. Click on her link. See, I'm always trying to make sure we get some money for these folks. First up, he's been on my show before, and he is an amazing person. He's been doing his thing for a while now. He is the Wayne Township small claims judge. Y'all give it up for Judge Gerald Coleman. Gerald, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dana. Glad to be back.
I love having you back. And all the way from Vanderburgh County, running for the Vanderburgh County Council, District 1 is Karen Reising. Karen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dana.
All right, guys. Listen, I'm going to start with Gerald because I want to make sure that people understand the importance of small claims court and why we need to make sure we have people there. So, Gerald, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Yes, Gerald Coleman. I am one of 9 children, and actually started off my life in the projects. My parents, we struggled early on. When I was 6 or 7, my dad was able to finish school and became a social worker. Then my mother was able to get a job at a IPS, well, it wasn't an IPS school, it was a school like IPS, I suppose. We were actually in Seattle, Washington. And my parents started raising us, hopefully right, out of the projects. And we were able to, they put a strong emphasis on education. I saw a lot of things growing up, a lot of injustice, just things that didn't make any sense to me. Really, I wasn't very close to my father. So I had a lot of questions that I didn't get a lot of answers, but I thought them, I saw them from other adults, from my grandparents, and saw a lot of injustice. That sort of inspired me to want to do something about it. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but as I got older, I began, the idea began to form in my mind that perhaps, the law is something that it could facilitate change in society, and perhaps I could be a part of that to facilitate some change. So that's it's a longer story than that, but that's kind of how I ended up as a judge.
I think it's wonderful because when we talk about how our parents influenced our direction, I think a lot of people, forget how important that is. And so when you decided to go to law school, did you know that you wanted to be a judge?
Yeah, I had an inkling. It was on my mind. I wanted to do something that would, I had some ability to do something good, to have an impact. And, of course, lawyers have impacts. Lawyers are also called social engineers. But I wanted to do something a little more. And, I watched some of the legal shows on TV, and I watched the judges, and I said, well, I think I could do that.
Okay.
I think I could have an impact. And of course, TV is nothing like reality.
Nah.
But it's probably one of the best decisions I've made in my life, because I'm actually able to do a lot of good on the bench, I believe. And it's probably one of the most satisfying positions to be in, to be a judge, to be able to make the right decision without any outside influences, to be able to do the right thing.
I think that's fantastic.
Nothing more satisfying than that.
I think that is so fantastic. And I don't think people recognize the importance of our small claims court. Can you explain what the small claims courts are and the type of cases that you see at your bench?
Sure, absolutely. All right, we don't have any criminal cases. We don't have any family law cases. All these cases are civil, and they involve cases up to $10,000. So any case that somebody has against somebody, or believes somebody owes them some money or damages up to $10,000, we hear all those cases. Now they can still go downtown to the Superior Court, but a lot of folks obviously come to small claims because, for one, it's quicker. It's much faster. It's very informal. And we do our best to try to accommodate, both parties, because the parties are not expected to be lawyers. Now, we have a lot of parties that show up lawyers, no question about that. But the system is designed really for the layperson, for the pro se party. And so we might have anything from evictions to contract disputes to individuals who purchase a vehicle that they feel, is defective. We have a lot of situations involving, houses where, somebody's trying to buy a house and maybe they've stopped making the payments. Most of those cases should go downtown. They end up coming here. We end up sending them downtown. But we get all kinds of civil cases. It could be, you never know what you're going to get on any given day. So there's a lot of variety.
I love it. And so, how do you feel like I gotta ask, what does it feel like as a Black man in Marion County sitting on the judge, and what kind of impact do you think you're having in the community?
Well, a lot of my customers that come to court are African American, a lot of them, and it's sometimes, we have a lot of eviction cases here, so that's hard to see sometimes, but it's the reality. It's hard to see. But I also get on the flip side of that, I get a lot of individuals that come to court and sit, and then they want to talk with me afterwards and ask me questions about being a lawyer and being a judge. That's the positive aspect. Also, on occasion, I'm able to get into the community. I've spoken at schools. I've spoken to high school students who have aspirations. Maybe they weren't thinking at the time they wanted to be lawyers or judges, but perhaps I've been able to influence them in some positive way. So I think being an example, being able to inspire somebody that's very fulfilling. And then you can kind of tell by the questions they ask that they're really interested in knowing more about what I do. So we all have responsibilities as leaders to be good examples. And I try to be, a good example. I try to get people inspired. I try to really instill in young people that they can do it. They just have to put their mind to it and their efforts, and anything is possible.
I love it. And so you're an incumbent, and so you're running for re-election. Talk about some of the things that you've done to improve the office of the Wayne Township Small Claims Court, and then also highlight some of the things that you want to do once you're reelected.
Absolutely. I've been privileged over the last 7 years, going on 8 years now, to be here. And the focus the entire time when I first arrived here was on the customer. How do we make this small claims court more consumer friendly? How do we do that? Well, we've done quite a few things. One is we send out information whenever a complaint is filed. We send out information to the parties that tells them, first of all, how to prepare for court, and that's very important. It's a information sheet that is written in nice, bold, nice, large letters, very easy to read. And so anybody can look at it and say, okay, this is what I have to do to prepare. That has had an impact. People tend to come to court more prepared. Before we did that, I didn't see as much, but I do see more now. So that's both parties. Also, we've partnered with Indiana Services to send out postcards to individuals to make sure that they're reminded, when they actually have the trial, to show up to court. Sometimes people just forget, and that's been helpful. We have some no-shows still, but I think sending the cards out has been very, very helpful. And then when we do have a trial, I do my best to make sure that, first of all, people are heard, and then for 100% of my cases, I will explain to both parties why I am deciding the way I am. That's very important because people want to feel like they've been heard. Mm-hmm. They want to feel like they have due process. So for every decision I make, and most of my decisions, I would say 98% of them, I make them at the end of the trial. And I very rarely take cases under advisement. I really don't need to for the most part. I'm able to explain to the parties why I did what I did. Again, to get them to see, this is what the law is, these are what the facts, these are the facts, and this is why I decided the way I did. For the most part, I think win or lose, people leave with a sense of satisfaction, knowing they've been heard. And I get that. I get that feedback from people. My one of my deputies is always talking to the customers that leave the court, talking with them how the process went, how they feel about it. And many times they'll say, I'm sad I lost. I didn't want to lose, but I understand why I lost. And the judge, I believe the judge was fair.
That's good.
That's very important.
Yeah, I think that's
But
amazing.
absolutely, and very, very, it's just a very fulfilling thing. Something recently we've done, I would say over the past year has been very, very effective for us. We've entered into partnerships. We have a partnership with Indianapolis Legal Aid Society. They are here one day a week on Thursdays to provide free legal advice to anybody that needs it, which is fantastic. Recently, there's another piece that courts can't fill. We can't fill a social services piece. We are courts. We administer laws. We don't do social services. But a courtroom setting gives an opportunity for social service in the sense that people come to court. They have other needs besides the law, besides the case. They have other needs. And the court actually coming to court gives us an opportunity to try to meet those needs. So legal services recently added a social worker, and that has been very, very helpful for residents. We also entered into a partnership with IndyRent. IndyRent is here on Thursdays for individuals who are applying for rental assistance. They can talk with IndyRent to see exactly where they are in the process. In terms of their application, that's been something that's been very helpful to them, because sometimes I might have a case in front of me where a tenant is in the process of being evicted, and maybe they've applied for IndyRent, and we need to know exactly where they are. Where is the money? How soon is it coming? Where they can go right out to IndyRent, talk with them. They can look it up. They can come back in court and tell me exactly where they are, and that will allow us most of the time to make some adjustments to, if it's an eviction, to a possession date. So that's been very helpful. We recently entered into a partnership with Wayne Township Schools. Again, this is the social work piece. These individuals come to court. Many of them have kids. Wayne Township can assist with school supplies. They can assist with access to food. They can even assist with resources for housing resources. So that's another critical piece for us that we recently added. And we're finding these partnerships are helping individuals. Again, they're coming to court for another reason. They don't know we have these other services available to them, but we're making them available, and they're actually meeting the needs of many, many of our customers. The last piece we're adding here actually not next month, but it'll be October, is we're actually adding what we call kiosks. They're legal information kiosks where individuals can come, they can look at their case, they can seek legal advice, they can actually talk with individuals through the kiosks, whether that's a legal service organization, about their case. And they can also check on the status of their rental agreements or rental assistance through this kiosk. It's going to be very, very beneficial for individuals coming to court. So in other words, even if they don't have a court day, they can come and get on the kiosk to talk to somebody, to look up cases, look up the case, to check on the status of rental assistance, to look up housing resources, all these things. They can actually come to our court to check out, even if they don't have a case. So that's another piece that's going to be beneficial. So we're trying to make the process, the small claims process, as consumer friendly as possible. Thinking about the consumer, because these are lay people, they don't understand always the legal process. We're trying to make sure they understand what they can do here and what their rights are. Now, going to the future, there are several things we want to improve upon. In COVID, we were not able to do this, but we're hoping to do this the next couple of years. Is we want to have tenant forms for landlord-tenant cases.
Okay.
In the past, we've had landlord forms, and we did have a tenant form before. But last couple of years, we haven't, been able to have a larger meeting with many customers, potential customers, and tenants coming to these meetings. But what we want to do is have more of these tenant forums. We want to educate these tenants on what their rights are. There's still a big problem with tenants not understanding. If there's a problem in your unit, if your landlord is not responding to your needs, you have rights. You can file a claim in court. If you don't have the funds to file a claim, you can ask for a waiver of the filing fee. There are many things you can do. You can ask the court to intervene. You can file an emergency request if, for example, the power is out or the water's out, or you're in the middle of summer and the air conditioning went out and the landlord's not responding. There are a lot of things that you can do as a tenant. So we're trying to educate tenants, doing a better job of that. Actually, one of the things that we hope to partner with Wayne Township Schools on is they do have a little army that can assist with getting the word out on these rights that the tenants have. And so we're trying to form more partnerships like that to get that information out. So we want to do more of that. We also want to have more of an opportunity for tenants to come to court, and not just tenants, but just parties to come to court and find out how these courts work, how the process works, how what is the process from beginning to end, from coming to court, how does it work when you get in front of the judge, what do I do when I get up there, when I'm up there, and then how do I finish the case? We want to encourage more parties to actually come to court to watch. To see how the process goes, because we're finding that when people actually come to court and see how the process goes, that they're actually more comfortable when they come back for their cases. We want to form more partnerships with individuals. We're getting a little tight for space with some of these partnerships, but we do have we can accommodate. So we're trying to do whatever we can to make this process as simple as possible for the consumer, so they can follow this process, so they can actually understand what their rights are, and then advocate for themselves. We want to give them more information so they can advocate for themselves, and that's basically just interacting. More interaction, more interaction with the public in some way. So working on ways that we can do that, and we think that by continuing to engage with the public, continuing to engage with our customers, that's going to help us. Help them, get better prepared for court.
Now that's what I call maximizing some space. I mean,
we're trying.
Oh my gosh! And it sounds like you are doing some great collaboration with maybe our trustee or the Wayne Township trustee, and providing these wraparound services. I think people when they hear court, I think they may get a little nervous. But you have definitely turned your courtroom into a space of community and social justice. And I'm so grateful that you talked about the landlord-tenant component of what you see, because, gosh, COVID showed us a lot of things. And we understand that landlords have to get paid. But at the same time, putting people out, when there's a pandemic going on was a little disconcerting to hear.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that your office is taking that up and doing what you can to both to help the landlord who has to get paid, but someone who also needs to stay housed. Oh my goodness. I hope y'all appreciate all that information he just gave y'all. I'm taking it all in. Judge.
Yeah, I have more too.
Oh. Well, I know that I don't want to hold you though, because I know you said you got some things. I tell you what, we just need to bring you back after you win your election so that you can keep on talking to the people about the importance of what's happening over in Wayne Township. Now, I know that you cannot solicit for fundraising, but are you doing any door knocking? Are you doing any work with the local Democrats to get people out to vote?
Absolutely. That's all part of it. We all have to play our part.
I love it.
We're knocking on doors, and we're letting folks know we're running for re-election. And we get questions on occasion when we do that. We're happy to answer the questions, but just want to get our face out there and let folks know, the good. We're doing a lot of good here. We want to keep it up, and we're just letting the folks know what's going on here in Wayne Township, and we want to continue the job that we're doing. We want to continue to improve it and make it as consumer friendly as possible.
All right. Well, west side of Indianapolis, when it comes to small claims court, you are all set. Judge Coleman, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm not going to hold you any longer, and I promise I will bring you back, because it's just, maybe I'll do like an all small claims court discussion in Marion County, because we have so many great small claim court judges.
Yes.
I definitely need to bring you all in. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Find in Wayne Township, if he's on your ballot, make sure you support him. Find out where he's going to be. Better yet, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes. Well, I do have a website, GeraldColemanForJudge.com. You can check that out. And other than that, you can also email me at GeraldColemanForJudge at gmail.com. And be happy to respond to any any emails about what we're doing here at Wayne Township and any questions you may have.
I love it. I love it, man. One of the best communicators I've ever met in my life. Brother, you have a wonderful evening. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my attentions to Miss Karen. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right,
man.
have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Woo! Turn Left listeners, thank you so much for being patient with the new format. I appreciate y'all. I know y'all used to me like doing my rant and then going into the guests, but I want to make sure that I accommodate my guests. They have events that they have to attend to, they have places they have to be, and that is a case of that judge had to get to a meeting. All right, now we're gonna turn our attentions down to Vanderburgh County. Listen, when I posted that she was coming on the show, I got more people talking about how wonderful this candidate is. Miss Reising, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Thank you, Dana. I really appreciate that. So yes, I'm Karen Reising.
Reising.
It doesn't matter at all. A lot of people say Riesling, with like the wine, and that works too. So everything's good, and I'm delighted to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity. I am running for Vanderburgh County Council down here in the southern tip of Indiana. Third largest city is in Vanderburgh County, Evansville, and but my district is largely rural. I have a little bit of Evansville, but mostly it's Vanderburgh County. And the gentleman I'm running against has had the seat for 32 years. So longer than a lot of our voters. At least I hope there'll be a lot of voters that are 32 years and younger in this race. And it's really about accountability to the voters, and the fact that at this time in our history, everybody needs to do what they can to step up and protect democracy by participating. So this is the way I chose to do it. And we are in a very conservative state, right? And a very conservative county. And it's important to respect everybody's views. So that's what we try to do as we talk about the importance of accountability and transparency. And so just a little bit about me. I grew up here and in Evansville, and then went to IU. Did my bachelor's, went to Georgetown and did a master's in international affairs, and had a career that you could say spanned the globe. There are a couple continents I didn't hit, but Europe and the Middle East and Africa, I was able and blessed to be able to see a lot of during my work. Lived in Egypt off and on for 6 years, and then came back with my 2 kids. One who is now 29. If anybody follows the Tennessee Titans, you can find Buck Reising down there. It's kind of a big deal in the Tennessee Titans world, sports talk. And my
listen, I'm gonna let that slide because this is Colts country around here.
Sorry. You can tell how much of a football person I am. So yeah, that's very true. I was warned about that, but I keep forgetting. Yeah, no, so we came home in about 15 years ago, and because my family's here, my father had just passed away and my mom was here, and I kind of had a choice being a single parent at that time. For me, a lot of women can and do it beautifully, but for me, I needed to come home in order to give my kids what I thought they needed. And so I did that, and continued to work for a few years, and then I got remarried and got involved in a lot of civic and community activities that ended up, and I moved from being an independent to a Democrat, because increasingly my ideals and goals are those that are espoused by this party.
Okay.
So I'm honored to be called a Democrat now. And we're just working to make good things happen for everybody in this county, not just a few. That's kind of the bottom line.
I actually felt that when you said that. You said, I used to be an independent, which is, you know, people can affiliate however they want. And now you're proud to say you're a Democrat. I know that there are a lot of people who are afraid to, especially in this state, to talk about who they are. And the fact that you say it boldly and confidently, I wanted to just let you know I felt that. I felt that. And welcome aboard. Honey, the Blue Wave is
Thanks.
so much more fun.
Absolutely.
So District 1, talk about the makeup of District 1 down in Vandy.
Yeah. So the it's kind of rural suburban because there's not as much agriculture in Vanderbilt County as there used to be. Posey and Warwick, which are on either side of us, are very agricultural, and we still have significant agricultural interests here, but it's kind of more suburban rural. And it's a lot of people. There's a heavy traditional German Catholic ethnic concentration here, and I'm Irish German, so I tell people when they ask me why in the world did I decide to run against somebody who's had the seat that long, I say, hey, I'm Irish. I love a good fight.
Okay.
So, but very good people, that very family oriented, and guided by their faith, and very, very fiscally responsible.
Okay.
So those are key aspects that they want to see reflected in their representation, and I certainly respect that. And we try to stick, in terms of the campaign, we try to stick to the issues that the council can actually affect.
Mm-hmm.
And so traditionally the county government deals with roads and sewers and public safety. But underneath that, there are so many issues in terms of, for example, mental health and substance abuse, which are very serious issues down here that the council has not adequately addressed. And because so many of them on the council have been there for so long, I think there's a complacency and just a lack of, again, it comes down to a lack of accountability. We have serious issues here. We have to address them. It affects our families, and it also affects our workforce. We can't become more competitive and grow economically and strengthen socially unless we address those issues. So those are the kind of priorities that I'm drawing attention to. And I'll just say, we're knocking on doors pretty much across the spectrum, not just addressing the Democratic base, because frankly, we couldn't win if we just did that. But we're finding an appreciation for the fact that we're out there engaging. I have a great team of volunteers, and I'm really blessed with that, because that's one of the things that differentiates my campaign as a Democrat down here. That I have a really good, strong team of volunteers, and they've just done marvelous things for our effort.
I love it. So you mentioned mental health as one of the areas that a council with a lot of people people been on it for a long time that they're not addressing. What are some of the other key issues that are not being addressed that you feel like you would be able to bring to that county council?
Yeah, I think there's a lack of innovation in thinking and how to address issues like climate change. We are, I think it's fair to say, we are held hostage down here by the sole provider of energy, CenterPoint. Southern Indiana is among the lowest income per capita in the state, and we are charged the highest prices for our electrification and the energy needs. And we have no options here. And so and that's very difficult. That's a state level issue, but there are things you can do at the county level. And in fact, our commissioners, who there's 2 Democrats and 1 Republican, but as so often is the case, it's not so much about the label you wear, it's about what you see as the needs of your community and how to address them. So I'm very impressed with our commission, our 3-person commission. And one of the things they've done recently, 2 things. We used some of the American Rescue Plan money to initiate a rural broadband project, which is going to be tremendous.
Okay, good.
And then yeah. And then the other thing in terms of innovation is solar, rooftop solar. long and hard negotiations for months between the more conservative agricultural interest and the environmentalist community. And our Commissioner Jeff Hatfield took the lead in engaging with those communities and coming up with a set of requirements that would allow people both at the residential and commercial level to deploy rooftop solar. So, you know, that's tremendous. That isn't going to solve our problem with Centerpoint overnight, or even totally, eventually it wouldn't solve it, but it will give some people some choice. It can cut costs, and that's the kind of innovation that we need. And right now I don't see that on our council, because of course they fund everything.
Right. And see, you talk about the solar. I know you probably remember a couple of years ago when our state house removed net metering. I know that you probably can't go into great detail about what those collaborations look like, but talk about, you know, how they're going to work around the fact that our state, at the state level, is not interested in getting Indiana to renewable energies. In fact, one of the coal burning plants down in southern Indiana in your neck of the woods just said, well, we were going to shut it down in 23, but we're going to wait till 25 to shut it down. What does it look like, you know, for those of us who watch the net metering go bye-bye?
You know, it was like a gut punch, right? And I don't understand all of the details, other than it used to be something essentially where people who generated electricity through their renewable sources, solar and other, could sell their excess back to to Centerpoint, Vectron at the time, and be compensated for that. And now that is gone, and it's it's really tragic. And I don't know that there's anything we can do at the county level to fix that.
Right.
But if we can do more on a project by project basis at the county level through this new ordinance, those are like pilot projects. Those projects will have return on investment that we can show people, that we can educate our community about, and then they can push harder on their representatives. I mean, it's a long process, but it's the only way to make it happen.
Exactly.
And you probably know we're known as the sacrifice zone down here.
Yeah.
That concentration of fossil fuel burning plants that generate energy.
Not just fossil burning plants. Y'all have super polluters. Y'all have the most. You have like 4 super polluters in a 35-mile radius, and in Evansville and Vanderburgh County, along with some other counties in our state, are considered cancer pockets. And when I remember learning about that from the Hoosier Environmental Council, and I was like, wait, what? There's only like 25 in the whole nation, and we got 4?
Exactly. I was shocked when I moved back from DC. I saw a report from the EPA that listed Evansville and Vanderburgh County as one of the top 3 most polluted places. I almost packed my bags and moved right back to DC, because I couldn't stomach the fact that I was subjecting my children to that. And things have improved slightly, but there's we're not, the state legislature and the governor are not listening to people down here, and the people have to get louder. And there is a great group I want to give a shout out and ask everybody to look at DACE, Direct Action Against Centerpoint, community group. They've done so much to mobilize community support in opposition to the way that we're being treated here from an energy perspective. And we've never seen anything like it in terms of their organization and their expertise. And they're a younger generation.
Yes.
They're really mixing, it's so heartening to see how these, I hate to sound so old, but they're young.
No, I'm with you. I actually hang out with the young Democrats because their energy is so amazing. They have a slogan, "Young gets it done." Now, we probably shouldn't use that in this election year, but young gets it done. And they just want a planet that they can live on after we're dead.
Exactly.
It's kind of simple.
Is that too much to ask? No.
No. So I love that you are dialed in on all the environmental concerns, because I'm often frustrated by some Indiana folks who feel like they don't have an impact on the climate crisis that we find ourselves in. But when you know, if just down the road on 69 it's a cancer pocket, but it's not here in Marion County, then there's a way for us to impact climate. And I need people to understand, like, these things can be local. So thank you for honing in on that. Talk about some of the other things at the county level that you'll want to affect and have an impact on once you're elected.
So, I'll tell you what I would really like to do, and I have to learn more to understand how much I might be able to do from a county perspective. But again, not specific to us, but public education and workforce training.
Ooh.
Our teachers are not paid what they should be. They don't get the respect and the resources that they need. Again, it's more of a state level issue, but there is more we could do in terms of raising public awareness, trying some pilot projects that would give more resources to teachers, and particularly, and this is something that and why I'm excited about and what I love about running for office. I have been in talking to so many of the great labor unions down here,
Good.
and so impressed with them. I mean, their integrity, their commitment to quality, and the standards that they uphold. And we all know, how important they are to upholding sustainable living wages. And I want to see more kids be directed toward the opportunities that those unions provide. I mean, it's so impressive. The iron workers and the plumbers and pipe fitters and the electricians, they're all just tremendous and such a force for good economic growth and social stability. So I've gotten some information, and I'm going to try to educate myself more and see if there's something we can do in terms of that linkage between our public education system, more than is being done at the moment.
Absolutely. And I hope that when you're talking to labor unions, you also include the teachers union, because, I mean, my goodness, they actually need protection these days. We're losing so many great teachers who are like, you know what, why do I have to put up with this to teach your little raggedy kid? And I said it, she didn't say it, I said it. Because some of y'all not doing what y'all supposed to be doing at home to keep them kids in line. That's why I ain't no teacher and I ain't got no kids. I know better. So I hope they include that. I think it sounds like you have like a really good plan on how to move Vanderburgh County forward. But I can't not ask you, we as women are well underrepresented at all levels of government. What does it mean for you to be a woman on the ballot, representing your community and the perspectives that you are going to bring to that county council?
Yeah, I thank you for asking that, because I have always, I've been blessed to, through my family, to have felt empowered and fully capable of going head with anybody, or toe to toe with anybody, however you want to phrase it. The power and the resource that women represent is huge, and we need to be more. I'm trying to choose my words carefully. We need to claim that right to be a full part of that process. You always hear down here and everywhere, well, you got to be more careful if you're a woman, you're just at a disadvantage if you're a woman. I don't believe that anymore. I think more women support women now than they ever did. And I think that might be a really important differentiator in this race in 2022, nationally as well as locally.
I appreciate that, because yes, we do. I've watched a lot of women's organizations pop up, and not just organizations, but consulting firms where they focus in. I know I'm thinking of two right now off the top of my head, right here in Indiana, where, they are intentional about, three actually. They're intentional about giving women the wraparound services that they need to be successful candidates in their races, and not just throwing them out there saying good luck to you. I think that idea that we're just in competition with each other, maybe it's because that's what the fellas do. You know, that's what I mean, think about it. They got to play all the sports. They got to be, you know, they don't even be qualified for jobs, and they try for it anyway because ego tells them they should. You know, we as women are more thoughtful. I ain't gonna say that. Let me stop, because then people be like, Dana, because I've already had somebody run around the state saying I'm a man hater. I'm not. I'm not.
I had that one. You know what? Let me just. I used to get that a little bit too. Maybe I still do, and I'm just not aware. But this is the thing. You can respect yourself and the force that you represent, and that does not translate into not respecting males.
Ain't that it?
So I won't take that.
I don't take it
That's
either. And I
ridiculous.
was really I was offended. I was offended, especially when I think about, you know, you probably have the same situation where all the wonderful men that you have in your life that either uplift you or you uplift. And it's like, what are you talking about? Because I'm not down with the subjugation of women. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. You know, what has been the most exciting part for you running for office? I mean, you know, your face just lights up when I, and I'm gonna let you go in a minute, but you're just so much fun.
I'll tell you what, and I'm so glad you asked that, because I had been around campaigns, and I knew what I was getting into, and there were parts of it that I knew I wasn't going to like raising money. But the thing that is so great is meeting voters, knocking on those doors, you know, and having conversations with people who, I mean, I've met people throughout the spectrum, and they appreciate the fact that I'm at their door. I'm usually sweaty, you know, it's hot, it's miserable down here in Southern Indiana, although we're having a nice little break now. And the conversations that we have, it's so reaffirming in terms of what the real strength of democracy is, which resides with us. And so my worst case is, even if I would lose, and I'll tell you what, I don't think we will. But worst case is, you know, I get a chance to remind people and engage about the real strength of democracy, which is us, and that we all have to participate by paying attention, even though it's crazy and we don't have enough time, and by voting. And it's really uplifting, and it's been a lot of fun and gratifying.
Well, your personality is infectious, and I feel it through the Zoom call. And I hope I get a chance to connect with you soon. I know you got to get going because you got to get to Posey County. I wanted to make sure I gave you equal time. And y'all, I was able to include her ActBlue donate link, so please consider donating to her campaign. Tell the people where they can find you.
So we're on Facebook, Karen Reising for County Council. And there's an ActBlue and Venmo link there. And we so much appreciate your support. Just get on the page and like us, and tell more people in Vanderburgh County about us. And I'm deeply grateful for that. And Dana, to you for all that you've done. You are truly an inspiration, and I'm going to thank you on behalf of all.
And do you have any events or fundraisers coming up that we should know about?
On the Facebook page, and it's our last official event. It's Hornville Tavern. Westsiders, we love our taverns. And so we're having a trivia night dinner on September 13th. You don't have to play trivia, but you can just come and listen to some really fun chatter and eat some great food.
I love it. I love it. All right, I'm going to let you go because I know you want to get to your Posey County event. Thank you so much for taking time out of your campaign schedule to come talk to the Turn Left listeners. You have a very safe and productive evening, and I have a feeling that you and I are going to connect again. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. All right, you have a wonderful evening.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You too. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Woo, y'all. How about that? How about that? Indiana's own Dana Black bringing you people out on the campaign trail. They barely have enough time to come talk to us, but they do it anyway, right? They do it anyway because they want you to know who they are, why they're running, and all the good things that you can do to help them win their elections. So, but you know what? Now I got to rant. All right, y'all, let's talk about it. The Indianapolis Star reports, delivering on a key campaign promise, President Joe Biden announced he would cancel at least $10,000 in student loan debt for millions of borrowers, as well as $20,000 to Pell Grant recipients. The move comes months before the midterm election, where Democrats are hoping to energize young voters. Biden, who made the move using executive authority, said the cost of college education has become exorbitant. That ticket has become too expensive for too many Americans, Biden said during his remarks from the White House Roosevelt Room. The burden is so heavy that even if you graduate, you might not have the ticket that graduating college once offered. Okay, so let's break down how much will be forgiven. Up to $20,000 in debt relief for people who have been low-income Pell Grant recipients, $10,000 for all other borrowers with incomes less than $125,000 or from households earning $250,000 or less. How many borrowers will be affected? Up to 43 million borrowers are set to receive some form of relief. 43 million. I need y'all to feel me on that. 43 million. Roughly 20 million will have their balances canceled entirely. Inflation watch. Corporate America had a mixed reaction to the president's plan. Some economists have said forgiveness could spark inflation and put pressure on the value of the dollar, a concern the White House has dismissed. Now, personally, I think this is fantastic. I am super happy. I will take my $10,000 because you know what? I was a late bloomer. My parents were already deceased when I decided to go back to college, so it was just on me. So I had to make sure I was paying rent or mortgage, whichever one I had. I had car payments. I had all the other things. And by the time I started my education, I didn't start in 1988 when all the rest of my Gen Xers did. Oh no, I didn't start till 2005. So I am with the millennials when it comes to how much I owe. And I wish I could have paid for my classes outright, but I couldn't because I had to eat or I had to, keep a roof over my head or keep the lights on. So this relief comes at a good time, especially when people like Mitch Daniels, former governor of Indiana, did everything he could to take state funding away from public schools. So when there's less money available, then we as the students have to pick it up for state schools. We're talking about state schools, not private schools, not, Notre Dame. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the state schools, right? They were covering a lot of those expenses and then we would have to pitch in, but now they took all that away. So more of the burden was on us. Now let's be clear. There are some Republicans that denounced the measure as another example of excessive spending. And Indiana representatives are not, they right there talking mess too. Representative Larry Bouchon said the move is not fair to the majority of American adults who either lack a college degree or currently do not have any college debt. He said programs already exist to help borrowers pay down their loans. Bouchon said existing federal aid programs merely incentivize college to raise tuition when the federal government should instead encourage the opposite. But he said what's going to happen is people are going to have a windfall of money and they're going to throw that into the overheated economy, which is going to continue to drive inflation. Well, dog, let me say something. I have yet to see that bill that you wrote to help bring down the cost of college education. You were actually in a position to write bills. You were actually a legislator and a lawmaker. You are in a position to write and have influence on how much people pay for tuition. But you ain't done nothing. You sitting around not doing a thing. We got a candidate running against you, Bouchon. Don't worry, we got somebody. And of course, there's always a Pence that has to say something. Representative Greg Pence issued a statement. It forces Hoosiers, whether you took out loans or not, to finance someone else's college education. Worse still, this plan is nothing short of a political pandering during the election season and will only serve to make the decade's high benefit inflation squeeze more painful. Now, his statement was shorter, but I want to dissect this thing for y'all. Okay. Whether you took out a loans or not to finance someone else's education. Well, if I recall correctly, there are businesses in the United States that have not actually contributed any money, meaning they didn't pay any taxes. So you are not saying anything to people who are reaping the benefits of the infrastructure like roads and bridges that they use to transfer their goods across state lines, who are not contributing. They're not giving anything. And I want you to understand something, Mike Pence or Greg Pence. Oop, they all the same to me. Uh, I just did that. I'm sorry. $10,000 is not a windfall. $20,000 is not a windfall. It doesn't, that's not, if that was somebody's salary, they'd be starving. So stop it. Stop pretending like it is going to have an impact on some debt relief, but is it a windfall? I don't think so. Probably not like that windfall that businesses and the 1%ers got in that tax break that you voted for. Greg Pence voted for that tax break for the wealthiest Americans. And we, the regular folks, didn't get to see none of that, right? But you're okay with wealthy people getting a windfall in the form of tax breaks. But we don't want regular, everyday people to get a break and not be in financial distress. And then finally, the idea that, we are getting a little bit of relief on our student loans. Greg Pence received a $79,441 PPP loan, and it was forgiven. So it's okay for Greg Pence's loan to be fully forgiven, but for us to get like $10,000 or $20,000 is just way over the top. See, these Republicans are killing me with their hypocrisy. They don't want to wear a mask because they want to have control over their bodies, but they want to make sure a woman has to carry a child to full term if she doesn't want to, right? Or she has to worry about having a septic uterus and maybe losing her uterus because a doctor's afraid of the new laws that are in place for her to have the right procedure to extract that baby if it's going to cause a problem. Now these folks running around talking about, oh my God, the sky is falling because we're going to give people a little bit of relief on their student loans, when many of these folks, many of the same people who are complaining about us getting a little bit of a break on our student loan payments, getting a break, who received PPP funds in the millions of dollars, and they were all forgiven. So it's okay for the government to take care of them and give them breaks, but it is not okay for regular everyday people to get a break. See, this is why it is important for us to show up and show out on November 8th. I'm going to keep harping on it until election. Wyoming illustrated to us what we can do if we come together on election day. We too can vote out whatever Republican we do not like. Jim Banks had the audacity to tweet, oh my God, forgiving student loans was an incentive to recruit people into the military. And he is just saddened. Go find the tweet. He's saddened that now this incentive to get people to join the military is no longer going to be the same carrot that it used to be. Can I just say that is really, really creepy that, people who are they go into the military, they recognize, what sacrifices they're going to make. If they are not in financial distress, they probably won't make that decision. But if they know that they can get their colleges paid for, they're gonna flip a coin and hope that things work out for them when they go into the military, because all they really want to do is go to college. Shame on him for oversimplifying such a decision like that. And I tell you what, he sounds worse than a pimp. Like, don't get me wrong, I believe in national defense, and I believe and thank all of our military personnel who sacrifice so much so I can get on this here microphone and talk mess. But the idea that we want to take away that ability to get your loans forgiven unless you go fight in a war or you serve in the military, that is wrong. Will y'all please vote for Gary Snyder in District 3, please, so we can get little Jimmy Banks out of office, because he is horrendous. All right. The Northwest Times report Democratic precinct leaders in the state's 2nd Congressional District Tuesday nominated Paul Steary, an environmental educator from Goshen, to run in the special election to complete Walorski's unexpired term. The special election will be on the same ballot as the November 8th general election, where Steary already was running for a 2-year term in the U.S. House after winning the May 3rd Democratic primary. Steary said if he is elected to Congress, he aims to be a leader who will deliver good paying jobs, affordable health care, and effective policies to protect our environment. We've all watched Republicans become more and more radical while representing fewer and fewer constituents' interests. District 2 needs a leader who understands what Hoosier families and communities are going through in these difficult times. I'm excited about this. I got Paul Steary scheduled next month. He's going to come on and share his story. I appreciate him. I think you guys are going to like him. I think you guys, if you haven't met him, if you're not in District 2, but more importantly, go find his page, and his name is Paul. Last name is spelled Steury. Find him and donate to his campaign. Help him get over the hump, because District 2 needs to get flipped. All right. And in some other Democratic news, the Courier Press reports Democratic Representative Ryan Hatfield, a veteran Evansville-based state legislator who had $140,000 plus in his state campaign account as of April, said he's out. My wife and I went out of town over the weekend and made a decision that I am not going to run for mayor of Evansville. I want to continue as a state rep, and I have 2 little girls, a 4-year-old and an almost 2-year-old, and a little boy coming in December. And with 3 little kids at home, we just felt that it was not the right time for us to make that journey. Hatfield's departure prompted a flurry of rumors about potential new Democratic candidates in the 2023 mayoral election, and Hatfield himself did nothing to tamp them down, but he didn't name anyone either. I would just simply say that we have several individuals looking at it who will give people in Evansville a good option. I'm gonna be honest. I understand, you making those decisions. I'm kind of glad he's going back to the State House. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch the special session. He's been in that State House making good arguments and been a good fighter for us as Democrats in the State House. And with that super minority that we're in, we need strong voices. Now, I understand he wants to do other things, and I wish him the best. And I believe he can pretty much do whatever he wants to do when the time is right. But I wanted to make sure I shared that news with you guys, that he is not going to run for mayor in 2023. And that's what brings me, that article brought me to what I want to talk about as I close the show tonight. Again, I really do appreciate you all working with me and the candidates, flipping the show around a little bit and letting me get the candidates out the way before I do the rant, because they had obligations, but they want to make sure that they're sharing who they are with you. And that's going to happen until November 8th, because these candidates are out there working their tails off. But in 2023, I want to talk about what Turn Left is going to be and some of the things that we want to do. You see how I have, the scroll right here, and you can see what's happening. This is another way for us to get that message out about what's going on around the state. One of the things I do is I try to make this show as accessible and easy as with everyone. Please make sure you share that information with me. If you want to find out how you can sponsor the show, you can do that with that advertising. Because again, we want to make sure that we're getting this message out all over our state. We are definitely trying to, expand our reach and grow this platform. Our candidates reach out to me every week about getting on the show. And some people I can get on and some I can't. Sometimes we have to cancel and rearrange. But the whole purpose is to amplify who we are. Plus, you guys know I often have guest hosts on, because it's not just about Indiana's Own. It's about how we share this platform and get more people and more voices out there sharing the message about who we are as Democrats and making this thing a thing. Because everything we do is about flipping seats. We have watched over and over and over again, whether it comes down to these student loan forgiveness, women's right to choose, attacking trans kids, we see that Republicans at all levels of government are not at all interested in who we are as humans and working people in Indiana. And the only way that we are going to show our power is if we get out and vote. And it's going to take every one of us to do that. That means you go vote, take your friend to go vote, go get Kiki, take her to vote, go get Blair, take her to vote, go get Thomas, who all he does is sit on his porch and complain. Go get him too and take him to get registered to vote, because we're in the last months of getting registered, and get him to the polls. We can do this, y'all. We can flip these seats. You can canvass with people. You can knock doors for people. You can send text messages, send emails. You can even be, a Twitter blaster, right? There's so much that we can do to influence people and get people out to vote and share the truth. Democrats continue to deliver. We got an infrastructure bill passed. We got relief for student loans passed. We see money coming into the communities in the form of services and goods. This is what we're doing. We're trying to improve lives of people. The other side just wants to pad their pockets, and they want to lie to you while they do it. They want to make you feel like you're less than American or less than a patriot than they are, but they protect insurrectionists. They have the audacity to question who we are and our patriotism, but they stormed the Capitol and they were trying to kill Americans. We have the opportunity to change things. Oh, and yeah, don't let the Republican in blackface fool you either. Because this chick, don't vote for her. Do not vote for Jennifer Ruth Green. She is awful. She wants to ban all abortions, and also in the case of rape and incest. That's not the kind of system we want. I want you to understand, not all skin folk are kin folk, and that ain't one of them. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Always catch the replay, and if you're not, catch me on YouTube, Spotify. There's always an opportunity for you to catch the show and support these candidates that we're highlighting. I will catch y'all next Thursday. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.